Hi, everyone, and welcome to Enjoy a Less Stress Holiday with an Anxious Dog. My name is Natalie Welds, and I am so excited for you to come and learn how to help your dog and yourself around the holiday season. I know my clients are always asking, how can I support my dog and understand my dog during these wonderful yet chaotic times of the holidays? And hopefully, this will give you a nice game plan of where to start and then where you'd like to continue on with your education. Thank you so much for joining, and let's get to it, shall we? What we will cover. So, we want to make sure that you feel prepared. Being proactive is the best way to help yourself and your dog. Also, knowing the why your dog is doing the behaviors that they're doing. We'll also dive into stress, dog body language, management, enrichment, travel ease, training versus behavior, and then a little extra tidbits I'll throw in there as well. Our goals, we're going to game plan. We want to create some joy too. I know that having a stressed out, anxious, or exuberantly anxious dog, which my dog is, can sometimes zap our energy. So I want to make sure that we plan ahead so we can actually have some joy around the holiday season. And safety. Safety is always going to be our number one priority. And that's what I want you to focus on first and foremost when making a game plan for you and your dog. So before we dive in, you're like, who is this biddy talking to us? And you hear my dog drinking in the background. Don't worry about that. I am Natalie Welds. I am the CEO, founder, and educator of the Scallywag dog. I am a positive reinforcement and humane methods trainer and science based. I got my master's at UPenn Penn Vet in animal behavior and welfare. And I'm also the founder of Wild Narrative Media, and I am Pearl and Erwin's mom. And Erwin is my bearded dragon, by the way. Super cute. So, while this is going to be a kind of quick and dirty webinar, I want to have some broad strokes of what stress is first. So, we have an understanding and foundation before we dive into some of maybe the unique quirks that your dog may have. So, there are two types of stress that we're going to focus on today: acute and chronic. So acute is short-term, situational, daily, but we're able to bounce back. This applies to your dog as well as you. So let's say you're stuck in traffic, but it can be a little annoying, but you're able to bounce out of it. Being late, maybe you're studying for a big test or a new job. These are some of the things that are acute. They're stressful in the short term, but if we're able to cope and manage and self-soothe, we're able to bounce back. That is very similar to acute stress in dogs. Chronic, it's long-term, it builds over time, and this is when stress is more difficult to bounce back from. So that can be abuse, loneliness, feeling unsafe, and even if it rings a bell for some of us personally, can imagine for dogs different types of chronic stress. And we'll dive into some of the more detailed examples. Trigger stacking. So I love talking about trigger stacking to my clients. It's experiencing multiple stressors within a short time frame that stack on top of each other. I'm sorry for that typo. That they stack on top of each other, causing our nervous system to accumulate tension. And this is where our dogs feel overwhelmed, reactivity, or shut down. To give you a bird's eye view of putting our own personal understanding for our dog, let's say you are stuck in traffic. It's the holiday season, traffic, and then you spill your coffee. And then you go over a family member's house and someone says like a very passive aggressive response. And then you go home and then your partner was supposed to clean up and then they didn't. And you have this dramatic response to them. And they're like, whoa, that is it's pretty dramatic of a response. That isn't to that event per se. It is from all of those little micro triggers. And then finally, we just burst. So for our dog, we might have them in the holidays traveling. And then we might have them see another dog and their dog reactive. So they're like, oh God, another dog. I'm going to keep it cool, keep it cool. We have kids running around a holiday party that's loud. And then finally, grandma comes in with her cane. And our dog is like, whoa, that is a lot. Your dog gets pet on the head by a creepy uncle. And then our dog growls at the uncle. You're like, wow, my dog usually doesn't do that. That's pretty dramatic for my dog. Think about all those little micro stressors. And this cortisol, this stress hormone, is just increasing, 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 increasing. And then we have an explosion. So our job is to prevent this from happening. We show our stress response in different ways. So you might be familiar with fight or flight stress response. We also have a freeze or fidget. The freeze is like kind of the deer in headlights. And then fidget is like our anxious dog that doesn't really know what to do with themselves. And they're fidgeting and they're jumping and they're spinning. And you're like, my dog is so happy, but it doesn't feel happy. Kind of feels a little anxious happy. And that's that fidget. So your dog might show all of these. So if, let's say, uncle pets your dog on the head, they might growl or lunge. Or the uncle tries to pet your dog on the head and your dog flees. Maybe your dog freezes, or then maybe your dog like jumps up on them constantly. And you're like, my dog is so hyper, but it's really a stress response to anxiety. So some examples of holiday stress, and it might be pretty familiar to you during the holidays. I'm not going to go over all of these, but we want to empathize with our dog. When we can empathize with dogs and other sentient beings, we're able to advocate for them. So holiday stress can be travel, even weather. I put, if it's cold and your dog has pain in their joints or they're just uncomfortable sometimes with back pain, cold weather can increase that anxiety for them because pain, at least for me, gives me anxiety. Parties are loud. They might be at a guest house. Everything's new. There might be children around, novel people. Holiday objects might be spooky. We have new routines. We might not be sleeping as well or having downtime. Maybe they're adjusting to different house rules. Maybe in your house, they're able to get on the couch. At your aunt's house, they're not. And there's also something called emotional contagion, which is your stress. It's kind of like when you walk into a room and you're like, something happened here. There's some bad vibes going on. You just feel it. Your dog can feel that too. Now, don't go blaming yourself. I'm so stressed, so my dog is stressed. That just perpetuates the stress. Deep breaths. It's all going to be okay. The holidays come and go, and we will all get through this in hopefully a very joyful, less stressed manner. To put this out there, we aren't our best selves when we are in a reactive state. And I'm not going to dive into the details of that scientifically, but I want you to remember that if your dog is anxious or stressed, they might not be showing their best selves to other family members or friends, and that's okay. So how do we ease anxiety in the first place? We want to manage predictability for our dog. We want to advocate for them when they are stressed. And I'll go into this. We don't want them in a red zone. We don't want them to go into that fight, flight, freeze, or fidget stress response. But we want to see the little nuances here and there so we can advocate for them when they're a little bit stressed without that trigger stacking, without that dramatic stress response. And this is by understanding their unique tells. And by tells, maybe for you personally, you bite your fingernails or play with your hair or do something that's like a little tell that you're starting to be a little nervous. Our dogs have that too. So how do I know if my dog is stressed? Body language. Some of these you might already know, but there are some more nuanced ones that we can go, oh, I'm going to remove my dog from this situation or help support them through this potentially stressful time. If they're having whale eye, so whale eye, it looks like Shark Week. Your dog might avoid a little bit and show the whites of their eye, they're probably going to be a little stiff too. That is a nuanced sign for you to go, okay, I'm going to advocate for Fluffy right now, and I'll show you ways to do that. If your dog is not hungry, but they keep lip licking, you're going to be like, oh, wow, my dog is pretty stressed, uncomfortable right now. Let me advocate for them. There's also a hard stare, which is pretty spooky when we see it. Maybe your dog is yawning. They're trying to self-soothe. They're not tired. So if let's say a little cousin Timmy is 5 years old and he's patting your dog really quickly or trying to hug your dog and your dog is yawning, be like, okay, Timmy, I'm going to take Fluffy with me now because Fluffy needs someone to step in. And it kind of reminds me of if you're in the kitchen trapped with a loud or talkative or crazy family member or person you're just meeting. And you're like, oh God, please someone help me. There's little tells that you do, and hopefully another family member or friend will come rescue you. We're hoping to be that for our dog. So ways to do this, I'm going to, once again, have some broad strokes in here of how to help your dog. Because we can't get into super, super detailed explanations because each dog is unique. But hopefully this will give you, once again, a game plan to march forward through your holiday with less stress for you and your dog. So, management. What is management? It's proactive and intentional use of environmental setup, structure, and proactive planning to prevent unwanted behaviors, to reduce stress, and support our dog's emotional well-being. Because I know personally that if my dog is more calm and content, then I'm more calm and content. So how do we do this? So I love what I like to call a Zen den. This is what I recommend to all of my clients. It can look different for each dog, but it's usually a calm, cozy, and predictable safe space created for our dog to decompress, rest, and regulate their nervous system. I also recommend this for new rescues because they're just getting used to an environment in a home, even if that home is way better than a shelter. As you can imagine, even good stress is stressful and exhausting. So I love a Zen den. The Zen den must be practiced beforehand. So let's say you want to have a crate set up for your dog while you're traveling to different homes. Or within your own home if you're throwing a party. You cannot just throw your dog in a crate and be like, there's their Zen den while the party's going on. Your dog hasn't practiced this association of a positive place. We're disrupting their routine. They're like, what is going on? So a Zen den must be practiced. So what I recommend is if you want that crate to be a place of decompression and calm, you do little dress rehearsals throughout the day. If you work from home, this is really great. All right, I'm going to have my dog eat in their Zen den for 10 minutes, once or twice a day. We want to create that positive association. This is where my dog sleeps. This is where my dog takes a little time out. If they're too excited, great. You're going to go in your Zen den with some enrichment we'll talk about soon. And then once you get some practice under your belt and your dog enjoys going in or they sleep in there and they enjoy it, you can then make the Zen den mobile. So it isn't showing up to a guest house and everything is new. A dog's like, oh, I know what this is. This is my Zen den. I get to relax and calm out, per se, in chaos. And a Zen den will look like a comfortable bed, crate, or mat. We want some low lighting, soft textures, familiar scents. Choose an enrichment that your dog finds soothing. So no puzzles, nothing exciting. We're going to go into enrichment a little later. Physical boundaries. So I used a crate as an example, but let's say your dog has confinement anxiety. A mobile gate is a really good idea because then you can help your dog practice a Zen den in your bedroom. And then when you get to your friend or family's house for a party, you can then take your mobile gate and place your dog in their bedroom or somewhere calm. I recommend a puppy cam because then you can actually see your dog to make sure they're not panicking. And this is also a place with no interruptions, no pressure, no social expectations. So people aren't allowed to like come up to the crate or zen den or interrupt your dog. This is their time to decompress. And don't we all wish we had a zen den during the holidays? So these are the essentials, just in another bird's eye view. A crate. I love a comfy bed because then even that bed can be used as positive associations with calm. And you can bring that in the car. I love some licking enrichment, which we'll dive into. We can give them water access, temperature control, not too hot, not too cold, just a place for them to feel that they can unwind if there's some chaos throughout the day to prevent that trigger stacking. And this isn't punishment, by the way. This isn't your dog going bananas and then you throw them in the crate or zen den. This is to say, hey, my dog is feeling uncomfortable. Let me give them a timeout. Let me give them time to just relax. So enrichment. What is enrichment? It is the practice of providing a dog with purposeful activities, experiences, and environments that meet their needs. So each dog is different. It's very similar to if I love yoga and that relaxes me and that enriches me, but someone else loves HIIT cardio. Or maybe we sprinkle in all of that, but just at different times, depending on our needs. Our dogs are very similar. We don't want our dog to just go on a 5-mile run if they hate running. That's not enrichment. So I'm going to go through all of these as quickly as I can because we have a lot to get through. But I love Kongs. I love lick mats and I love topples. Topples are like one of my favorite items. I want your dog to lick. I won't get super sciencey in this, but when your dog is licking, it helps turn off their brain and cool off their nervous system. So instead of the puzzles, which kind of make them go like, like I'm solving all the problems, we don't want to create more heat in the nervous system. We want to cool it down. So I recommend those for your dog to lick in their zen den. You can also fill a topple with their kibble, maybe with some just even water if you want. Peanut butter or safe yogurt that's plain, that doesn't have anything that's toxic to them, and put it in the freezer. So that way it's frozen and lasts longer. I also love a snuffle mat. You can put their kibble in there and they're going to forage and use their sense of smell. When a dog starts to smell and forage, it decreases their heart rate and blood pressure. I also love an Orby Snooper Busy Buddy as a puzzle toy because it's going to mentally enrich them. They're going to bop it around. Kibble's going to be flying. So that's if they need to be distracted in a much more energetic way. And then if they love a stuffed animal, sure, place it in there with them. Certain breeds, like my dog, destroys them, but other dogs like that thing in their mouth. When a dog has really big feelings, good or bad, they'll usually sometimes accidentally mouth your arm or mouth the leash. So giving them a stuffed animal to place in their mouth, that's more appropriate to put their big feelings on. Very similar if you're throwing a party, and we'll talk about human greetings later, but your dog brings a stuffed animal to the door every time they're seeing someone new. That's them really excited and placing their big feelings on something more appropriate than the human. I also love free enrichment. It is the holidays, the economy right now and all the above. So I know that we don't want to like spend hundreds of dollars on our dog right now. So I love a good scattering of kibble, indoors or outdoors, shredding paper towel rolls. I love a good watch the world go by, which is just sitting on a bench. You and your dog just both take a time out together. Maybe you're giving your dog treats while you guys are just chilling in a park. A nice decompression walk. And hikes and appropriate exercise. Can't get into the details because I don't know your dog, but whatever that exercise looks like for your dog, that they enjoy, do that. Enrichment also means sleep. People forget this, and my clients and me included, when we are busy, we want to entertain our dog and give our dog all the enrichment and the exercise, but your dog needs to sleep, and dogs sleep a lot. So if you're like, oh, my dog hasn't really napped today, That's when it's really nice to put them in that Zen den with their licking enrichment so they can start to wind down. And also, too, when you have management and enrichment, we don't need to focus on, I need to train my dog. It decompresses you because we're being proactive instead of reactive if our dog does something. Travel tips. We're not going to go once again into too much detail, but I love for travel, place work or mat work. The bed or a towel or a blanket I was talking about for that Zen den, they already have a positive association with that item. And that item is soft, comfy, cozy, can be movable. I don't know why I was doing this and dancing, but I was picking up and placing the blanket or bed in different spots. But whenever your dog goes onto that spot, you can reward them. You can give them their licking enrichment on there. So that way they know that that bed, that mat, that blanket is a home base to relax. And it's also good if your dog has confinement anxiety. If they do, such as in a car, it's very common for dogs to not like cars. Our culture says dogs love the car ride. A lot of them don't. That's weird. They can't see the way they want to see or smell the things outside the car. And maybe you have a dog that barks at everything in the car. It can be an anxious time. So I recommend practicing gradually of, oh, here's the car. We're going to have some treats in the car. Maybe we practice our place work with our favorite blanket to lay down in the car if we can. Practicing in a crate. Practicing seatbelts. Oh, and I put on that seatbelt, dog seatbelt. It sometimes will clip to their harness. We can give treats, all these things just to make this a more positive experience. Now, if your dog gets car sick or your dog absolutely cannot stand to travel, that's when I recommend reaching out to your veterinarian because they can definitely help you with situational medication to take the edge off for your dog. Training. Now, probably this is why a lot of you have signed on to this webinar. You're like, I would like to train my dog now. To train or not to train. The holidays are not a time to start new things. Very similar to humans. If we are studying or learning something new while we are stressed, while our nervous system is activated, we will not learn, we will not retain, and we won't probably even be listening because our adrenaline is up, our cortisol is up. So it's actually more difficult to process. Once again, as I was saying before, we are not our best selves when we are reactive or stressed, and neither is your dog. So training must be done before the holidays, in my opinion. Now we can train some life skills or some fun like tricks and party tricks, but to get your dog from like point A of actual anxiety to like this very content dog, we have to plan ahead for that. But that's why management and enrichment are great because it takes the edge off. It makes training easier, and we utilize that first. Supporting behavior versus training. A lot of times my clients will be like, my dog knows so many cues. They know sit, down, stay, spin, touch, paw. But when they're in a stressful environment, like outside or with new people, they don't know their name. And that's because they're more anxious or they're excited. And I don't care if your dog knows sit. Well, hear from me first. I do not give a flying hoot if your dog knows sit. Because if they're anxious within the sit, what's the point? We want our dog to just be happy, healthy, and calm and content. So I support behavior. How can we, once again, root cause of helping our dog feel better? How can we do that instead of just going sit, 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 sit? Oh, we don't want our dog to sit. We want our dog to feel more calm. So management, enrichment can help your dog and advocate for your dog. But I will give you some tips and tricks though. Don't worry. And we also want to use positive reinforcement and humane welfare. Not going to dive into this. Please, 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 please do not use shock collars, prong collars, choke chains. They are outlawed in many countries besides the US. And if any balanced trainer or aversive trainer tells you that you must use it, they are wrong. They are wrong. Science-based, humane, and also too, if you're anxious, wouldn't you want support and understanding instead of pain and punishment. So, a really good way to do this is called capturing behavior. This is when you reward your dog for any behavior you like. I love using string cheese. I love using beef liver, low sodium turkey, maybe some cut up hot dogs. It doesn't have to be expensive, but anything that your dog is doing that you like. Oh, Fluffy went to their bed. Here's a little hot dog. Oh, Fluffy greeted that novel person with 4 paws on the floor. I'm going to rapid fire treat Fluffy, because the more we reward behaviors, the more they'll happen. Okay. Guest greetings, holidays. If we have an anxious dog, whether they're more shut down anxious, whether they tuck tail and they cower, or whether they're more fear reactive, where they're going to be, oh, I'm nervous and now I'm going to like lunge or bark or growl. Or we have an exuberant dog, which was my dog, where she is like, oh my gosh, everything's new. I'm going to jump on you and mouth you and try to like tear your clothes off. No. Guest greetings, do's. So we utilize management first. So maybe everyone enters the party or your guest enters your home and your dog is in their crate or behind a gate with their enrichment. Worst case scenario, if you're like, I just can't do that because we didn't practice it, use a leash. If your dog jumps on people, use a leash. Use those treats. Hey, Fluffy, good job. Approaching the novel person or guest, and you're going to get a bunch of treats. Instead of your guest giving your dog a treat, our dog, we do not want to have them feel conflicted. So if I forgot who said this, but it's kind of an extreme example. But if I have a gun and $1 million, I want that $1 million, but I'm real scared of that gun. So I'm going to be like, we don't want that. Also, too, that's a really suspicious person. If they're like, here you go. We want our dog to have a positive cognitive bias. We want our dog to be curious about the world. Very similar to people. The people that are more curious about the world around them, the more positive, not toxic positivity, but the more positive they are, the brighter outlook. They're going to feel better and they're going to have more acute stress. They're going to bounce back from stress quicker. So to do all these things, long story short, have your guest toss treats. Don't let them wail a treat at your dog, but they're just going to have maybe some treats and they're just going to toss treats to your dog. This way your dog can look for the treat, smell for it, decreasing heart rate and blood pressure, eat the treat and go, wow, that person didn't ruin my boundaries. They didn't cross into my personal space bubble. I'm going to actually be curious. Guest tosses a treat again and the dog's like, oh, this person tosses treats and I get to smell them from afar and observe them. They're not so bad. And it helps your dog warm up a little quicker. And then your dog approaches the guest voluntarily. You are going to be able to take some deep breaths because you're using a leash potentially. So that way, God forbid, your dog reacts, you can just advocate for them. And if your dog is just not feeling it or you're not feeling it and you're like, I don't feel like training during my holiday party or get together, they can go in their Zen den. Some quick, don't let people hug, kiss, or lean over your dog. Most dogs don't like that. Maybe they like it with you, but not with strangers. And it's kind of like if I just met someone and they started hugging and kissing all over me, I'd be like, that's a little bizarre. Please don't compare social media with reality. I won't dive into that. That could be a whole other webinar, but I see puppies and babies sitting together and I'm like, oh Lord, no. Don't scream, shout, yell. Don't completely disregard your dog's body language. I know it can be hard to speak up. And I'm just going to say it, especially as women. It's hard to say, don't do that to my dog. You can say it a little nicer if you want, but get in there. Advocate for your dog. Don't let your dog just run up to guests too hot and tackle them. That's why we have management. And then please, this is where bites happen the most. Do not let guests take food from your dog or put their hands in the food bowl. This is really scary, and this is when bites happen, and then there's really awful consequences for both human and the dog. So extra tips and tricks. Other topics, behavior medication. Talk to your vet. If your dog has been in pain recently, this is going to increase their anxiety and stress even more. So we want to make sure that we're up on our annual exams for our dogs, and then we advocate for our dog. I will be talking more with vets this year, but a lot of times veterinarians in school do not take behavior courses. They are not offered. So we want to catch certain behaviors on camera, or if your dog is in pain, the way safely, by the way. Don't put your dog in a situation to show the behavior. But like, hey, this is my dog just pacing around my apartment randomly. Hey, this is my dog when they're walking and they seem to have a limp. Bring those videos into your vet. It helps give you more of a foundation to say, I would like my dog to be on some medication if possible to help with training, whether short-term or long-term. Utilizing pet sitting, walker support, interview them. I would also dive into that hardcore, but interview them. You want to make sure you like them, that they're using positive reinforcement. They can, if your dog just needs to be left home, maybe they don't even go to the holiday party. Maybe they don't travel with you. We want them to be as low key as possible with supportive, responsible people. Muzzles, love a good muzzle. Baskerville muzzles and the Muzzle Up Project are my favorites. Dog greetings are very complicated. So what I would recommend, first and foremost, management and helping your dog meet their unique needs, and then walking maybe a parallel proximity walk where you guys walk together so your dog gets to know one another in a neutral zone, not in the actual apartment of the dog or your dog or home. I'm from New York City, so I say apartment for everything, even if it's a home, like a house. And then dogs as holiday gifts. Last but not least, I might get some backlash for this. I don't have a problem with it if you do your research. Don't just get a husky because it's pretty. Don't just get a cattle dog because you love the coloring. Research the breed. Research how much work it takes to raise a dog, no matter what age. And I would reach out to us for support at the Scallywag dog before you get the dog, or someone that is a positive reinforcement dog trainer or behavior consultant. Last thoughts. Have fun. This is such a beautiful time of year, and I know it can be good stress as well, but we're going to have fun, be safe, number one goal. Put your own oxygen mask on. And that's easier said than done, especially coming from me. But I hope that you are advocating for yourself on the holidays. It can be a tough time of the year for a lot of people. And I hope that you are keeping yourself safe and happy and with healthy self-soothing outlets. And last but not least, ask for help if you need. We are here at the Scallywag Dog. We do virtual if you live anywhere in the world. So if you have some questions, you can always reach out to us. Here is our contact information. This is our email, our website, our Instagram and Facebook. And then this is our first YouTube that we're launching. We're doing a whole online thing this year. So we are going to have a ton of different micro learning courses and content for you. So once again, I am here for you if you need at the Scallywag Dog, and I hope you have a wonderful, happy, joyful, and peaceful holiday season with you and your dog.